All
How
right.
many more do we have?
I have to check. So this is homework 6, number 4. Let's read what it is. So extend the program in exercise 1 to separate the positive and negative values into two separate 1D arrays and save the 1D arrays in separate output files. So that's simple enough. To just give you a brief overview of that, we have the input file, and then we're going to essentially include stdlib, include stdio, int main, then file, imp, outp, and outn. So the reason why there's two different output files this time is because we want one output file to be positive number and the other to be negative. So in this case, LP is going to be for positive, LN is going to be for negative. So one thing that you can notice here that's different from before is that I didn't include define NR rows and NR columns. I mean, at this point, I just wanted to just put in the numbers instead because I was just too lazy to write it out every time. So yeah, file, input file, output P, and output N. Float because we're dealing with decimal numbers again. Array by 6 is going to be 6 by 6. ARR is just going to be the name of the array. Positive is 32 and negative is 32. These so the difference between these three, this one array 6 and positive and negative 32 is that arrays it's 6 by 6 2D array. So it's going to be something like this. While positive 32 and negative 32 is going to their size is going to be 32, but it's going to just be a 1D array. So it's going to be like a single line. So essentially, it's just going to be like this, just one singular line, and that's it. Int ijkl is going to be used for the for loop later on. IMP equals f open to homework 6 input txt. It's going to read it. If it doesn't detect it, it was just being null. It's going to do printf and then print out an error. And then same thing here, except you're going to set it into write mode, which is W, and have a different output txt file name in order to show which one's a positive and which one's a negative. And same thing as we just done before, have two for loops, I is equal to 0, I is less than 6, I plus plus, j is equal to 0, j is less than 6, j plus plus, f scanf, the input file, %f because we're dealing with decimals, an array, and it's going to store it into array ij. Then printf. This part is sort of optional. I was just doing it for my own sake. So you could ignore that, but I was just doing to give an input matrix is, and then when you execute hit F10, it will just show in that command prompt the entire matrix. But as I said, that's not necessary. You could ignore that. So where was I? So yeah, for I is equal to 0, j is less than 6, increment it, and then printf. Yeah, this part you can ignore. This, I was just typing it like this. I was just typing this so I can see it in the execution instead of the output file. So yeah, I can just ignore that for now. Now this part is the one that you actually want to pay attention to. So you have the same two for loops from before, with the I being less than 6, j is less than 6. I is going to represent the rows, and j is going to represent the columns. And then if array ij is greater than 0, so essentially if at point, say for example 0, 1, if the array at 0, 1 was greater than 0, then greater than equal to 0, then it's obviously going to be a positive, and it's going to save it in positive k, which is what we used before to represent positive numbers in that 1D array. So positive k equals to array ij, k plus plus. So pretty much the number that was at array ij is going to be equal to positive k, and in k plus plus, it's go on to the next number that's also still positive. And then you're gonna have an else file, an else statement where if for the negative, so yeah, negative is when it's not greater than or equal to 0. Just hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. All right, and where was I? So printf, a new line. So this part you can also ignore because I just wanted to do it in the execution. But the parts that you should pay attention to is this for loop. So when I is equal to 0 and I is less than k, you're going to do fprintf into the output file, %f, it's %f, the values of positive, and for this one, the for loop, but instead of positive, you just do negative. Then you're just going to close the input and output file. I also forgot to mention, you're doing a for loop here just to include all the values in that specific array. So this is the input file. So the positive one should have 2.3, 2.0, 3.145, 20.2, 99.97, 2.41, 100, 99, 5, 44, 65, 306, 2.5, 666.67, 1, 44, 44.5, 13, 15, 1.111, and 8.25. And yeah, that's the case. So as you can see, it stored all the positive numbers correctly. And then it should also store all the negative numbers correctly. And it also includes like how many times it occurred. I mean, not how many times, but it also includes repeats for this one. So yeah, did that make sense?
So when you first did you set the positive, you found the values for the positive and negative, you used K and L, then you use I and like when printing them out. Does the variable not matter for the?
So what happened was, right, K and L were gonna be the counter. So it showed like how many numbers there were, like how many positive numbers there were, how many negative numbers there were. So I, right, is just gonna tell you the specific number that was positive or not. And then as you can see for the for loop, so yeah, K plus plus. So say there were like 5 positive numbers, and then since K was the counter, it would be that for I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, because that's how many positive numbers there were. So yeah. So in short, K and L just tells you like how many positive and negative numbers there were in total, and I is just telling you the exact number that was there at that specific moment. So yeah.
What would happen if all of them, if they're either all positive or all negative, since there's only 32?
I did 32 because 6 by 6 is 32, and in the
It's
event,
36.
no, I'm done. I'm done. Never mind then.
No, you're not.
All right, I'll just, yeah, I don't know why I have 32 then. So essentially, I had it like this in the event that the input file was actually all like positive, so that way it will include in the output for the positive numbers all the positive numbers. So yeah. So just to say that again, because I think I said it weird, I had the positive and negative output files be equal to like the total length of the array was 36, because 6 by 6 is 36. So if I had an input file, like I'll just do it right here, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then so yeah, let's just say I had like all positive for the input file, and then when I go to compile it and everything, as you can see, since the input file didn't have any negatives, there's not going to be any negative numbers, and in the positive, it's going to show everything. So yeah. All right, so did that make sense?
Are zeros included in positive or negative or neither?
In this case, I had 0 be included in positive just to save myself like an extra line saying for 0 being a separate. So yeah,
Okay. Cool.
see it right here. So yeah, that's it for number 4.